My name is Renee Halstead, and this morning I faced the people who brought me into the world as they worked to wipe me out of it. We sat 6 feet apart in courtroom 14B. The fluorescent lights hummed, cold and unforgiving. The bailiff announced the case, and my parents, Graham and Diane, positioned themselves on the plaintiff's side beside their polished attorney. I was alone on the defense. Me, my folded hands, and the faint click of my heels against the marble floor. They accused me of being a complete fabrication, that I'd hijacked the identity of a fallen service member, faked paperwork, deceived doctors, and pocketed benefits I had no right to claim. Their lawyer delivered the charges with crisp indignation. No photos from deployment, no DD 214, no witnesses to verify I'd ever worn the uniform. He pronounced my name as though it were forged currency. I sat still, letting each accusation land and slide away. My uniform stayed folded at home in a cedar chest, but my body carried the memory anyway. The grit of Kandahar dust in my mouth, the copper taste of blood, the shake in a medic's hands when I stepped in to hold compressions and forced myself not to meet the eyes beneath my gloves. They read my silence as admission. The judge leaned in at last. She was small-framed but steady, her gaze sharp behind slim glasses. "Miss Halstead," she said quietly, off the record at first. "Look at me." I met her eyes. A flicker crossed her face like memory breaking through frost. "Counsel," she said louder, "we'll take a short recess." My mother's pearls froze mid-motion. My father's jaw tightened to stone. Then Judge Tessa Morales added, calm as stating the weather, "Because I recognized the defendant. I served alongside her." The courtroom cleared quickly during the break. Reporters hovered near the exits, but I remained seated until the echoes died. My parents left without a glance. In their story, I was already gone. "Miss Halstead," the judge said, not from the bench, but from a side door, as though emerging from another chapter of her life. I followed her into a small anteroom with a humming water cooler and the state seal on the wall. Close up, I noticed the faint scar tracing her collarbone, disappearing beneath her robe, her eyes locked on mine. "You're still honoring the non-disclosure," she said. It wasn't judgment, just acknowledgement. She let the silence settle, then asked, "Who was your lead on the pad?" My throat closed around the name I'd locked away. "Captain Maribel Ruiz," I answered. She called the grid, told me not to look down. Morales' expression eased. "That's right. That's her." She studied her own hands as if the desert sand still clung there. "You clamped my artery. I remember wondering how someone so young could hold steady like that." A knot inside me loosened. I didn't weep. I simply drew one deep, complete breath. A knock interrupted. "Judge, we're ready." She squared her shoulders, granite once more. At the threshold, she paused. "Stay silent," she said, "but don't make yourself smaller." We returned to the courtroom's stark light. My father's attorney rose, already grinning like victory was sealed. My mother smoothed her pearls. My father fixed his stare on the bench as though it could be negotiated. Judge Morales took her seat, addressed counsel, and declared, "Approach. We're correcting the record." At sidebar, she spoke clearly. No whisper. The plaintiffs claimed the defendant invented her service. Her records were sealed under non-disclosure for a provisional joint task force. This court will not penalize compliance with classified orders. The attorney protested procedure. Fairness, Morales produced a sealed envelope. "Pentagon liaison," she said. "Emergency exception, limited declassification." The clerk opened it. Documents entered the record. Deployment orders, citations, a medevac sheet with redacted routes, and my old call sign, DR, the one I'd buried like hot coal for years. My mother's pearls quivered. My father's knuckles blanched around his water glass. Judge Morales addressed the room. "For the record, I served with Miss Halstead in Kandahar. She pulled me from a burning vehicle and maintained pressure until the bleeding stopped. I carry the scar." The air stilled. Lawyers forgot their objections. "Case dismissed with prejudice," she said. The gavel struck once. Sharp, irreversible. My parents exited without speaking. their steps quick and final, erasing me in the only way left to them. Outside, the humid air pressed against the courthouse stairs. Strangers who were veterans gave me quiet nods, like family. Reporters shouted questions, eager for the headline. I kept my eyes forward and walked through. That night, I opened the cedar chest. Uniform, field gloves, the chipped coin Morales had slipped into my hand long ago, whispering, "Don't let them shrink you." I placed it beside the newly released papers and stood at the window until my heartbeat steadied.